Hello everyone and welcome on back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Mesmer profession for the spear. Mesmer started off as being one of the spear types that I definitely appreciated but didn't really click with like the others, and that was back in the beta. Now that it's gone live and I've had more time to mull it all over and get into the mechanics and the overall gameplay flow, Mesmer kind of is one of my favorites in terms of an open world experience. So today we're going to be going into all of the spear abilities, the mechanics, its role, and the specializations I've been playing it with, and commenting on how they might fit into each of the Mesmer archetypes. So let's begin with the lovely spear. And I love my Mesmer. This outfit and the new spear skin is so cool. So let's begin with the auto attack. We have Psy Cut, Psy Strike, and Mind Pierce. It's a fairly simple auto attack in terms of might generation, and then your final attack will apply weakness for a short duration. So it's a pretty simple auto attack. The next ability is your core functioning skill for the spear, and it's the one you're really going to revolve around. This is Mind the Gap, and this has a really beautiful telegraph and also spell effect. This is quite new in terms of centering a ring around you and then an outer ring. It essentially shows you the damage areas. The center ring won't do as much damage for the ability, but the outer ring will do quite a bit more damage. 20% increased damage, and it will always critically strike your targets. So you do want to position yourself wisely to get the most damage out of this ability. But importantly, it gives you the clarity buff. This reads, your spear skills are empowered. So this means the next spear ability you use, it will be changed, augmented, and empowered in some way. And this also applies to Mind the Gap. If you have clarity and then use this ability, you just generate more might on yourself. This doesn't interact with the auto attack, and much like the illuminated effect on the Guardian, I kind of wish that your auto attacks just generated more might or longer weakness if you have Mind the Gap. And the clarity buff, I should say. If you have the clarity buff up, I would love to see the auto attack be empowered. It shouldn't consume it, but I think it'd be nice if it played around with it still. Your third ability is going to be your defensive mechanic. It's called Imaginary Inversion. This will deal some damage and also grant you that blur effect, which is across various elements of Mesmer. If you successfully evade an attack, you will heal yourself. And then if you have the clarity buff on you and you also evade an attack, that healing is further increased. This fourth ability is Phantasmal Lancer, and this is your Phantasm ability. Also, I want to mention Mind the Gap will also generate a clone. To note. Phantasmal Lancer is one of my more favorite abilities for the spear kit. This will have you dash forward and summon an illusion at your location. This illusion will then throw a spear, dealing more damage. It also removes boons. Leave a phantasm at your initial location that will launch a spear at your target, dealing heavy damage and crippling targets. If your phantasm strikes a crippled target, immobilize them instead. Oh, the dash and the strike removes boons. I see. I was wondering where that was coming from. I actually hadn't noticed that. That's pretty cool. If you have the clarity effect, you will summon an additional phantasm. So this just means you'll be doing even more damage, even more cripple, and also immobilization. It does work very well together, and then you also get 2 clones because you're summoning 2 phantasms. And then finally, we have Mental Collapse. This is your really strong teleport CC ability. This will shadow step you and teleport you to the enemy you have targeted, and then do a cascading damage effect. And if you happen to have the clarity effect with Mind the Gap, this will be a stun effect. So the way it goes is your basic auto attack, your core ability to buff yourself, and then utilize those buffs. This is your defensive healing skill for 3. Your fourth is your phantasm generator and big strike damage. And then your fifth ability is your grand area of effect damage attack with a little bit of a stun on it if you happen to have clarity. One thing to note with Mental Collapse is that it also will reset the cooldown of Mind the Gap. So what you can do is use Mind the Gap into Mental Collapse, utilize Mind the Gap again, and then utilize Phantasmal Lancer to do some really heavy damage. So I will show you that right now. We'll run in, we'll use Mind the Gap to trigger this outer effect, use 5, use 2, into the 4th ability, and we already have 3 clones up. Would you look at that? And then you can shatter them. It has a really fun rotation that I love so very much. Imaginary Inversion I don't use too often unless I need to for a little bit of a heal or an evade on a really scary attack. But this gameplay loop is really fun. And I think once I figured out this pattern, the whole world of Spear really opened up to me. And it is a bit more of a strike damage weapon. There really isn't any healing or major elements of self-sustain on it. There's no real condition damage, I would say. So you will have to focus in on that strike damage, which is one reason why I'm running with Chronomancer at the moment, because you're able to deal some good damage with your shatters. You're also able to generate more clones for yourself, and you can even share out quickness whenever you shatter. This also applies to Alacrity as well. So you can fill those slots, and in the open world it is pretty useful to generate Alacrity on yourself and quickness on yourself, and being able to share it out to allies is even better. So that's one reason why I've been running around with Chronomancer quite a bit. But bouncing from mob to mob in the open world is so fun, especially because your abilities tend to come off cooldown fairly quickly. So it makes for a really fun weapon. It's almost difficult to get into this because it's a very easy weapon to approach. It's very straightforward, and I think that it's going to be a major boon to players who are looking for a more straightforward weapon that doesn't have a huge amount of complexity to it where you're micromanaging different effects and buffs, and all you really have to do is kind of learn this rotation. 2 to 5 to 2 to 4, and then auto attack for a little bit, and you're gonna essentially win no matter what. I would say. Now, results may vary, of course. I think this weapon in particular really sells that new factor in terms of new phantasm effects, new spell effects in general, this beautiful lotus, and also the spell circles with the 5. It's so nice. It's so beautiful and so well done. And I continue to hope that they go down this route of really giving magical classes that magical aesthetic. So as I mentioned, I've been running around with the Chronomancer quite a bit. I think it fits in very well with the spear. However, you can also go with Virtuoso if you want to play a little bit more damage over time with certain power strike areas like Rain of Swords. You have 1,000 Cuts, able to utilize Blade Turn Requiem, which is a damage over time around yourself. Your Phantasms also being able to shoot out Phantasmal Blades. You're stalking them. You have another route to go in with the spear, which is really lovely to see. And you just have this rolling damage over time around you. And it's really nice. I have very little else to say other than just, it's so nice. You're always proccing out daggers and damage, and Virtuoso works very well with it. Granted, you don't get those clones, so you don't have them all striking your targets and whatnot, but Virtuoso has always been like that, and it just, in general, is a really fun elite specialization to pair with the spear. And with the Virtuoso being so focused around blades and sharp objects, the spear fits into this fantasy very well. You can even run dagger in your other weapon kit to complement it even more if you'd like, and get a little bit more of that range component because this is melee focused. So I imagine dagger would be really, really nice to run with that, and quite a smart choice. Additionally, you could go Mirage, which I don't have a build at the moment for it. However, there has been an update with Mirage Mantle. The ambush for your spear will increase your damage by 15%. And Mirage has always been a more condition-slanted elite specialization, but because this buff exists, it will allow you to play around with the Mirage elite specialization as a power build for the spear more comfortably than perhaps other weapons. It's potential with every single elite specialization for the spear, and I'm very happy to see that. There's a route to go down with just about anything, and there's something for everyone, which is wonderful to see. Thank you all so much for coming on by and watching this video guide and impression primer on the Mesmer Spear. Comment down below how you are enjoying the Mesmer Spear. What is your elite specialization pairing with this weapon? And have you also found this gameplay rotation to be satisfying? Did you maybe miss out on something that you would have liked to have seen for the Spear? I would love to hear it all down below. If you'd like to support the channel, I have a Patreon where you get early access to these videos. If you'd also like to support the channel and purchase Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds to gain access to all these spears, I have a link down below in the description. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everyone. Mwah.